The Mavs make a big trade last night, and I got the text immediately from Mike that said, we got Wood. And I was like, I have no clue what this means, but I'm excited to go look at Twitter.
Yeah, that's what it means.
And find out what's going down here. And the Mavericks traded for Christian Wood from the Houston Rockets, which I know this name has been bouncing around in y'all's head for a while, for about a year and a half, because it was trade deadline the first year he was with Houston, that y'all were like, man, if we could get a guy like Christian Wood, this team would look very, very different. And I know Mike's excitement right now. And Mike, I'm not going to try and damp it all down today, but I know you are stoked right now as a Mavs fan.
I'm so happy. We just got a guy who, to me, worst case scenario, replaces Porzingis for absolutely nothing. We gave up the 26th pick as the only really valuable asset. We traded 4 guys who don't play NBA basketball when it matters. They're just depth in a regular season, and nothing against those guys. I bet some of them get released by the Houston Rockets, and they're just out there in free agency here pretty soon, or, bought out type of deal. And so I just can't believe that we got a guy who could get you 20 and 10 for the 26th overall pick.
And that's, now there was more to it, because Boban, Sterling Brown, Trey Burke, those names were all, and Marquise Chris. I know it was Marquise Chris time in the playoffs. We almost got that thing going.
Did you see that he needed knee surgery? And that might have been the reason. I'm not saying that it would have helped or not helped, but he was hurt in the playoffs.
I did not see that until just now. But those are the names that got sent along with the 26th pick. And I know there are people in Houston that are like, this is a huge win for us because we got the pick. And now we have this and the number 3 overall pick. They have
3 picks in the first
They're
round.
excited right now. They think it's a win. I also know that I've had more than 2 people say that Wood is a locker room cancer. So I have my concerns there, but man, this was a good locker room this year. That's one of the strengths that this team had this year, was that their locker room was good. So I'm not that worried about it right now. If Christian Wood was on crap teams for the last 8 years, because he's been traded, he's on 7 different teams now. If he's been on crap teams and now he gets to be on a winner and be part of a winner, then I'm hopeful that will motivate him to say, let's go take this to the next level. But Mike, when you talk about what he's done with James Harden, there's no doubt in my mind that Luka is hunting the ability to pass to somebody that's going to put it in the bucket. And if he has a guy that's as skilled that shot nearly 40% from 3 last year, then maybe, just maybe, this is going to be a very good pairing with those two. And it might be, Mike, finally the guy offensively that Luka can't even go to down in the paint to get some work done too.
Yeah, and let's take everything you said in. There's a lot that you said there. Why was he with 7 teams? Because people have put that out, and you just said it. Mm-hmm. He was a nobody. He was undrafted. He was considered a non-prospect. It would be like saying, I don't want Gary Payton Jr. because he's been with so many teams. Well, it's because he couldn't play in the NBA and he was trying to figure it out. He had only figured out how to play in the NBA in the 2019-20 season at the end, right before coronavirus hit. Like literally, he'd only had 20 productive games in his whole life at that point. 17 games for Philadelphia. He wasn't a cancer there. He couldn't play in the league yet. 13 games for Charlotte. He couldn't play in the league. Milwaukee, 13 games. New Orleans, 8 games. Why? It wasn't because he was a cancer. It was because he was an undrafted guy who was skinny and couldn't figure his way in the NBA. And with Detroit, a very bad team, he started getting 20 to 30 minutes a night around the All-Star break. And then all of a sudden it was like, whoa, he looks like he might have something here. And he's a free agent. So then Houston traded for him in a sign and trade so that they could give him the amount of money that he was going to want in the marketplace. Because I was with you guys during that free agency. He had already moved from G-Bag Nation to here. And we're like, dude, this Christian Wood could be a nice guy. Could we get him for the mid-level exception? The answer was no.
Gotcha.
He was worth $6 million per year approximately than the mid-level exception at the time. So teams were trying to figure out, he's more than the mid-level exception. That's all we have. How do we get him? So he's really only been with Detroit for approximately 20 games and then with Houston for 2 years. Yes, he was with those other teams. It wasn't that he was a cancer there or a bad attitude guy. It was he didn't know how to play in the NBA yet. He was trying to figure out, like Dorian Finney-Smith, like Maxi Kleber. I get that they stayed with the Mavericks, but he needed a place where he could get free minutes and find his way in the NBA, and he did. Most guys don't. Most guys that are undrafted guys don't find their way in the NBA. That being said, Christian Wood, he might have some issues. I'm not saying he doesn't have issues. He could have some issues, but literally, the Mavericks had, out of 30 teams in the NBA, I'm not exaggerating, they had the 30th center position in the NBA. It
33rd.
was horrible. Right. It was horrible. Dwight Powell's not really even a backup center in the NBA. And I hate saying that. He's still with the Mavs. God bless him. The dude works hard. I use him as examples to kids. If you work hard and you're a good teammate and you do the right things, you can get things that you really don't deserve by your play. You can get college scholarships by hustling. You can get contracts of $11 million a year in the NBA by hustling and being a good guy, by not even really being that good of an NBA player. There's a great example of that in your own city here in Dwight Powell. So God bless Dwight Powell for how hard he plays, how hard he works, how hard he rehabbed his injury. But we were dealing with the worst center position in all of the NBA, and now I think we're average.
Yeah,
and that is unbelievable to go from the 30th to somewhere I think around the 15th.
Now, I think we can still answer a lot of questions about what this team will do, next. We can talk about that. That's coming up at 11 o'clock. We'll talk about what they can do next. But they walked in and said, what is one of our primary problems is that we have to be able to be better at center. Now, did you get better defensively at center?
No.
The answer is pretty astounding. No.
It get worse. Dwight Powell can't cover a human being.
But that's the you still got to figure that part out, right? So you got better at the position offensively for sure. I don't think this is going to be Maxi standing around and waiting for a 3-pointer all day. I think it's a guy that you can utilize in different ways. But the defensive side of the ball, now, are you better at rebounding?
Yes.
Okay, that's a huge thing because Maxi couldn't rebound. Dwight Powell, as much as you liked him, in the playoffs, he could only play, 8 minutes, 10 minutes?
And his 10 minutes in the history
he was getting,
of his
2 rebounds?
2 rebounds. In over 30 playoff games, he averages 2 rebounds a game.
And you got slaughtered against Golden State with that. Okay? You got slaughtered there.
Well, by every team, honestly.
And yes.
Not just Golden State, but by Phoenix and by Utah.
So that's it. This should be a huge upgrade in that area right there. That's one area right there that could be a huge upgrade for this team.